like to call to order the Concord Township regular meeting for Tuesday, February 6, 2014, 24 rather. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, I'd like to note that council met in executive session regarding litigation against the township earlier this evening. Recognition and announcements, upcoming meetings and events. February 14th, the Historical Commission. February 19th, the township offices will be closed for the holiday. February 20th, Planning Commission, it's going to be on Tuesday since the Monday is a holiday. And on February 21st, the Zoning Hearing Board. Before we go into the rest of the agenda, sitting up here as a council member and prior to that as supervisor, you get to know your colleagues in the same capacity in other towns. And our neighbors in Chatsworth lost a very competent and a very dedicated public servant in Frank Murphy this past week. I've known Frank for many years from his involvement in Aston Township, and I knew Anne Marie because she used to work in the office as a lawyer with my uncle and my cousin Dominic. So I think on behalf of all of us, we send our best wishes to Anne Marie and her daughters and mourn the loss of Frank Murphy. Under reports, public safety, Vanita.
Thank you, Mr. President. For today's report, based on the Fire Marshal's report, we saw a rise in the EMS calls last month with 97 basic life support and 177 advanced life support emergency calls. There were 3 structure fires, 1 brush fire, and 1 chimney fire. The Fire Marshal's office investigated a chicken coop fire. The building was severely damaged with a total loss of 40 chickens. The cause was determined to be electrical. They also investigated a detached garage fire, and cause was determined to be a radiant heat from a generator running inside the garage. The building sustained moderate damage. Chimney fire occurred with no extension to the dwelling. No known human injuries. We witnessed some storms, severe storms in the area last month, causing quite a bit of flooding. As a result, there were 24 motor vehicle accidents. There was a collapsed stormwater pipe causing water to overflow on one of the roadways. Our fire department also investigated water runoff from the downed trees in the stream bed behind the Glen Eagle Square. They had the fallen trees removed to allow unimpeded water flow during the rainstorms. 268 property safety and fire code inspections were completed last month, of which 4 violations were issued and 3 have been already resolved. For the tip of this month, we saw a rise in the storms this year. Please stay indoors in any storm events and keep yourself and families and pets safe. Avoid driving during the stormy weather and flooding times. With Valentine's Day next week, please follow safe candle usage and fire prevention during Valentine's Day celebrations. Additionally, drive safely if you are planning to attend social gatherings or events. Take proactive measures and avoid any potential risks. Please be safe this February and beyond. And that's all for the report for this month. Thank you.
Thank you. Open Space, Trails, and Recreation, Mr. Crossan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The events and activities list for 2024 has now been published. And the Parks and Recreation Department is looking for business sponsors, so interested businesses should contact Steve Jacobs about opportunities. We had several successful reopening ceremonies for the AME Church last week, and a lot of good press, both locally, regionally, and nationally. So that's very exciting to see that project receive such attention and to see that building open. Along the same lines, with regard to the AME Church, the Concord Township Historical Society is partnering with the township to do a Black History celebration with the reenactor Ned Hector and the Battle of the Brandywine on Sunday, February 18th. That's next Sunday. And we are doing Black History Storytime at Spring Valley AME Church on Saturday, the 24th of February with the Rachel Cole Library. So 2 events to keep in mind. Coming up in the spring, it's still cold, but we are doing a bus trip to Washington, D.C. to watch the Phillies play the Nationals on April 7th, so mark your calendars. And also in April, we'll restart our wellness programs in the park with free classes such as yoga and things like that. We are now accepting applications for pavilion rentals at the Township Park, as well as the sand volleyball courts and field permits as well for larger groups. Just contact the staff for any interest in that. And lastly, we are continuing to work on our various park upgrades. We're doing township park upgrades at Smithbridge Road. We had originally planned to do this spring. I believe those are now timed for the fall so that we don't interrupt any of the summer programming. But work is well underway in progressing on the Beaver Valley Road Park, and that park should be completed and opened this summer, hopefully. That's all I have.
Thank you. Sewer and Public Works, but before we start, Mr. Gillespie, a lot of us attended the events at the AME Church this past weekend, and you did a stellar job in emceeing the events. Some of your tactics to get people to get attention, like your clapping and piano playing, probably could have done without, but on a whole, it was a great day and a great event. And I want to commend you and thank you as a colleague on the board and as a friend for the great job you did in that whole presentation.
Well, thank you. But a lot of people have told me that the clapping and the singing and the piano was the highlight of the day, but that's...
Well, those of us with taste, no, never mind. Go ahead. John,
All
you're
right.
up.
Yeah, with regard to the sewer operations report, believe it or not, we have 21 pump stations in our township, and they've been checked and maintained. Also at the main plant, we had a broken air pipe, which resulted in some issues with contractors and work, et cetera, but everything is back to normal. And at the Concord Woods pump station, there was a major failure, and both pumps were incapacitated. Emergency pumps were installed, and the station is now working. With regard to the Public Works report, I guess the highlight of the month would be 3 salt and plowing events occurred in January, which we hadn't seen in a while, since we had such warmer climate over the last couple of winters. So the staff worked long hours to keep our roads safe, and the feedback from the residents was all positive. And throughout the town, potholes were filled for driver and pedestrian safety. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Building and Code Enforcement, Colleen.
Thank you, Mr. President. For January, I'd like to report that we had a total of 80 permits processed. We had 17 certificate of occupancies issued, including the Pulte Spring Lake Sales Office on Route 202 northbound. And we issued some final COs for new businesses, including the Core Link Solution on 579 Baltimore Pike, Del Pez Restaurant in the Concordville Town Center, and the Wave Car Wash has received a conditional CO and is now open as well. That's the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Planning Commission, Larry.
Yes, Concord Township Planning Commission activities for January 2024. The Planning Commission agenda meeting was held on January 8th, and the public meeting was canceled on January 16th. The Planning Commission nominated Mark Elser as chairman, Ben Littell as vice chair, and Amy Capelli as secretary. These nominations were unanimously approved by all commission members. In other projects, there was an extension granted until May 8th for the Encompass Health Concordville. Schedule for this month was mentioned earlier. The agenda meeting will be February 12th, and the public meeting will be February 20th. Thanks.
Thank you. Solicitor, Mr. Donahue.
Be advised that the Concord Ventures Status Conference has been moved from February to March 6th. And presently, the two matters in litigation with respect to Concord Township are both land use matters. One is Concord Ventures and the other is C. Everett. Thank you.
Township Engineer Nate.
Sure, just a handful of updates. First, we did provide the township an update. We had received a request regarding the left turn at Powell Lane and Baltimore Pike to modify that turn signal by the HOA there, Windsor at Glen Mills. Unfortunately, the warrants have not been met for that turning movement, and we will discuss that further with the HOA, explain to them the whats and the whys of what why we can't do that. I'm not sure there's any other next steps per se, but we'll work with Amanda to meet with that HOA and explain the reasoning there. Second, we did have a call with SEPTA a couple weeks back. If people have been watching, they're working on their bus revolution update, and some modifications to the bus routes here in the township that were on tap have now been reversed, and we're essentially going back to more or less status quo with actually a little bit more frequent bus service from what I can tell. So I think that's a positive for the area, and we'll keep an eye on that with SEPTA. We speak with them on a regular basis, and we're talking to them currently about some improvements to some other bus stop access locations. We are starting our 2024 road program planning, so we will take any input, complaints, comments as we work on that here this spring for summer construction. Please send those to Amanda's attention. We typically get that project out in the month of April, but the work starts on that now. The last update is we did have a meeting with DEP on Friday. We've been receiving some complaints regarding a one-lot subdivision on 400 Smithbridge Road from some of the neighbors. We elevated that to the Conservation District and then to DEP. We did have a meeting on Friday. They will be requiring some additional modifications to the site as well as a permit amendment. So we will continue to monitor that site as well.
Okay. Amanda.
I just want to point out, I'm hoping everybody likes the brightness of the room right now. As one of council's sustainability measures for staff, we've been redoing the building with all LED lighting and upgrades, and have been already seeing savings within our bills, which is fantastic. And this room was one of the project portions of that, and it just was completed not long ago. So I just wanted to point out, I hope everybody likes the brighter lights in the room. Thanks.
I do like it. It was dark in here before.
Is that it? One other thing. I received an email from a young resident in Concord Township regarding safety, bike safety. And I was wondering, Amanda, if maybe we could set up a meeting with her. I think you were copied on the email also.
Absolutely.
Okay. And one other thing, I noticed we have a Boy Scout in the room. Are you here for a project or? Yes, tell us your name, please. Great. If you need any help from anybody, let us know. We'd be happy to help you. We probably get about 3 or 4 scouts a year for this merit badge, and anything we can do to help, let us know. And congratulations on continuing in scouting. Citizen comment. Anybody with any comments regarding?
Yeah, just give it to Nate. Yeah, Mr. Gillespie. Yeah. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay, great. I'm actually here to see about getting some road work done on 82 Summit Avenue, or 8 Summit Avenue off of Beaver Valley Road near that pocket park. I'm here to represent Steve Temple at 79, or actually he's at 85. And Kevin Windsor also at 79 Summit Avenue. The gutters from just use, wear and tear over the many years.
That's these pictures?
Those pictures there. Addresses are on the back with names.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, Amanda, I sent the email very late in the evening. But if that could be maybe addressed this year, someone take a look at it and throw it in on that ARPA money maybe you talked about last week or last month. That'd be great. It's
Okay,
just,
well, as Nate mentioned, we have the road program, so now's the time to bring it up. My only concern is we'd have to be careful over there. Some of those are private streets and some are public streets, but
that's 82 Summit, or that's Reed Street is the
Okay.
private. Brandywine's a private. Summit shouldn't be. We plow it. we bus
Summit's
it,
public,
we do it
yes.
all.
Okay.
Right.
Nate, can you,
Certainly, I actually was out here, I want to say maybe late fall with our Public Works Director,
Dan,
Dan Moyer.
he's
Yes,
got
so
all my emails and all the pictures that she now has.
So, yeah, I think we could definitely revisit this. It's not easy, you know, it's an old street with not a lot of infrastructure, but we can certainly take a look at it and see what
Yeah,
the options might be.
The street, and just my opinion, the street's fine. It's the gutters that have just sunk in, become deep, 6 to 4 inches deep.
Yeah, it looks to me like there was never really any proper gutters installed. It looks like more of a little bit of a hodgepodge of asphalt and different
yeah,
things, so.
In front of my house, or my driveway, literally, I couldn't, this is 10 years, 15 years ago, that I couldn't get out of the driveway. We had a steel plate to cross over.
Okay.
They dug it up, put all new asphalt with a swell as a gutter, and it's worked fine for decades.
Well, it is the opportune time to look at it, because as he said,
Yeah, that's why I
if
said
anybody had any roads they want us to look at.
Yeah, when I heard him mention his roads and
Yeah,
last month.
perfect
the
timing.
ARPA
Okay.
money,
Thank you so much.
very
for your
good.
comment.
And I'll return to Mike.
Okay.
Also, I wanted to thank you for doing this public thing in the beginning of the meeting versus the end.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Ken Hemphill, 39 Millrace Place. Curious, I had to come north tonight, and I turned on the Route 1 and was able to make a left on Green onto Concord Road. There's a sign that says you can make a left after yielding to oncoming traffic, so you can cross 2 lanes of traffic to make that left from Route 1 southbound onto Concord Road, right by that auto garage. And I'm wondering,
Like on the way to the firehouse.
yeah, and so I'm curious, if you're allowed to make a left there, which has good sight lines, why can't we make a left in the back door to Home Depot, across 2 lanes, or onto Cheney Road southbound from Route 1?
Well,
They're all great sight lines.
yeah, so, and I have a traffic engineer who's the expert, and I can get specific answers to every situation. But we've looked at all of those different intersections over the years. I know the one at Evergreen and 322, essentially the Home Depot, people have been asking for that for years. But each one's independent of every other situation. And it's based on sight distances, the actual turning movements, vehicle speeds, and all kinds of different variables. So each situation is specifically unique. For example, the Evergreen Drive and Home Depot, we've approached PennDOT multiple times, and they will not make that modification for us. And again, there's all different types of sequencing and different lights, and then also different delays depending on what we do. So it's just not as easy as like, we have it there, why can't we do it there?
But if you drive through Middletown on Route 1,
Again, Ken,
they all have flashing yellow lights to make a left turn. Like
I
at
can't
every light, from 452 all the way to the SEPTA train station.
Wow.
And yet we can't do it here, and the speed limits are the same on 322 and Route 1.
Is
So-
there a specific, again, I don't want to talk in generalities because we can't. But if there's something specific somebody wants me to look at, we certainly can, and I can provide more feedback at next month's meeting.
Well, why don't we look at the ones he mentioned? But I guess the one thing, having been here as long as I have, there is no rhyme or reason to anything PennDOT does. So although it's in Middletown, God knows how long it took them to get it. It also could have been part of the development of the whole Franklin Mint site, that it was put in as part of that permitting plan. But we'd be happy to look at it again, but we are at the mercy of PennDOT on these things.
So, you can turn left on the 452, northbound 1 on the 452, and the sight lines are horrible.
Not arguing with
Horrible.
you, not arguing with you at all, but it's PennDOT, and reality and common sense does not apply. So, and I'm not trying to talk you down, but it doesn't make any sense. The stuff that we have to do or can't do, because we have another one over on where Joseph Anthony is, with the left on to, if you're coming from
Powell.
Media.
Powell.
Yeah, and we wanted a left turn arrow, and we can't get it. And it's crazy because it doesn't meet some warrant for theirs. The one there on Powell Road, we just put that one in. You thought that was a no-brainer. No.
Are you more concerned about Cheney or Evergreen?
Both. I use both.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
What the hell, go for
Evergreen's and
Home
Evergreen.
Depot, it's like where all my money goes.
I've already looked at Evergreen, that's a no-go. They've already denied me on that multiple times, and I've taken that to the top of PennDOT. That's not going to happen. Cheney going what? Coming to the township or leaving the township?
Cheney, going southbound on Cheney from Route 1 southbound.
to make the left on Cheney from
Yeah,
Route 1 south.
to go towards the grist mill.
Okay, and I believe we made that modification specifically after a near fatality at that intersection. I know we made some modifications, but I can revisit that and take a closer look.
Because that you can see for 3/4 of a mile.
Again, Ken, that's not relevant in the discussion. That's one piece of information on multiple pieces of information.
Because the one at Concord Road and Route 1, the road is curved. The sight lines are weaker than they are in other locations where
Again,
you're
you-
not allowed to turn.
You can keep saying the sight distance, but again, that's one part of the puzzle, and that's not the only piece. That's the problem. It's just,
tell you
that's
what,
why it's not fair.
All the
They're not apples to
variables- All
apples.
the variables just seem to be the same, traffic volume, speed.
And I'll double check the Cheney one for you, but Evergreen's already been asked and said no multiple times.
We'll try again, but there again, we're at their mercy, and, okay?
Other question,
Wait,
survey flags.
Survey
In the
flags?
wetlands and streams behind Chad's Ford Collision on the Concord Ventures parcel.
Yeah,
What's going on with that? Are you at liberty to say what's going on there?
well,
Because they're new.
it's in litigation, and I guess they're performing a survey. It's their ground, they're allowed to do it.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Haven't seen you in a while. Happy New
I
Year.
know. Happy New Year, everybody. Maureen Hewitt, 44 Molly Lane, Chadds Ford. No, I didn't move. That's where I used to live. 19 Brook Lane, Chadds Ford. Sorry.
So you didn't get
Years
his
ago.
Christmas card?
Mr. Donahue, I missed the date for the new Concord Ventures party.
It's not really a party, it's just a status conference, but it's March the 6th.
And is it a public status conference?
The judge could do it in an open courtroom, he may call the parties back.
Could you just give me the short version of what a status conference?
Sure, the judge is going to ask both sides, where you people at in this thing? Is this moving forward? Is there going to be a resolution? If not, I'm going to start scheduling dates for arguments and briefs and et cetera.
So where is it at? Do you think that there'll be a resolution or it'll go to trial?
That I can't tell you that. I know the parties have discussed various options, but where it goes, there's been no agreements on anything yet.
But you'll answer that on March 6th.
I will talk to the judge on March 6th. As
Right.
much as I like to talk to you, I
I'll
will talk to
give
the
you a call,
judge.
but,
All right.
Who did you say the other party in litigation was?
C. Everett. It's a
What is it?
C. Everett.
C. Everett?
Right.
And what is it?
That's this has been going on since, I think, 2015 or 2016. It's back in the Brandywine Summit area, all these odd lots. Somebody had come in and threatened to put trailers up on some of these lots, and we didn't agree with that, and it's been in litigation ever since, and now there's some proposed, again, discussions about an agreement.
And that fella has a bunch of those little slivers of lots,
He
correct?
does, you're correct.
And his name is C. Everett?
The company's name, I believe, is C. Everett.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good, thank you. My name is Kathy Curden. I live at 212 Bethel Road. I have a safety concern. On the 45 years that I've lived here, I keep having accidents in front of my driveway, between my driveway and the church across the street. The church has sort of, let's say, they've kind of rectified why they're not having accidents anymore. Because on Sunday mornings, they have the Bethel police out there, and they put cones out. On November 20th, there was a bad accident out there, and it wound up on my property. And the reason I'm bringing up, this is a safety issue, because the girl got hurt when she got hit this time. It was two students. One was coming out of the church driveway, and another one was coming out of the Springton Lake exit, Springton Road, Running Spring Lane. Exit was coming down the hill. There is a end of a school zone sign there that I think needs to be moved down to 200 Bethel Road, because What happens when the kids come out of the school driveway? They then accelerate down the hill, and the kids that are coming out from the church driveway get hit. There are at least a couple accidents every single year there. But this time, this is the worst accident I've seen yet. I mean, over the 45 years, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 accidents every single year. But this time, the girl that was coming out, I don't know how fast the person was, but there were 2 big SUVs. And the girl came 90 feet, into my property. She landed on an antique plow that I happen to have that's on a little hill. If the plow hadn't have been there, behind this little hill, there's a 4-foot drop. And then she would have gone another 30 feet into one of the tributaries of Green Creek. I've had other accidents that have come in maybe 20 or 30 feet into my property. But I think they need to move that end of school zone down to 20 Bethel Road. And they need to move that flashing light down across there somewhere in there too.
Nate,
Is
as part of
that possible?
Well, they have the land development plan in for that. Is this something that we should be reviewing as part of the land development application as far as the traffic impact, so we make the school district do some of these things?
Yeah, so already a step ahead of you. Because of that land development project, one of the comments of my review letter was revisiting the school zones in the vicinity of the high school complex.
Yes.
So if we're making modifications to how the site operates, that's something we should be revisiting as well. I appreciate this feedback tonight because I think an important point is that they're also utilizing the church parking lot for spillover parking. If that's going to continue, I think it's a very valid point to say the extent of that school zone should include that driveway. I think that's a very valid point.
It needs to.
Yep, so we will look into that as part of that project. The timing, it probably won't, if we can make that happen, wouldn't be till they execute that project, but we'll.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, over 45 years, it used to be the traffic that would come out of Fellowship Baptist Church. But the Valley Point has, they've rectified the problem on their side. Thank you for listening to me.
Gene Goebel, 7 Quaker. I was interested in the HRG services agreement on tonight's agenda. Start with, why did it not make the public meeting packet?
Amanda?
So first off, the packet, we had trouble getting it up. I believe you had reached out to Lisa. She was working with our website company on issues with getting it up. I'll have it up tomorrow as soon as I have it. I think they sent an email to us late today saying that I think like that it was something to do with the actual PDF or something and why it wouldn't get up. So we'll have that up tomorrow.
Okay, but I presume all of council has seen it because you're
Yes.
effectively voting on it tonight? Okay, so did Bradford Engineering have a similar agreement prior to HRG?
No?
In what exactly does the agreement have in it tonight?
Well, I can maybe answer the question for you, Mr. Goebel. It's still an at-will contract, so I guess they wanted to formalize some kind of an understanding, but this is a professional services contract, so it's an at-will contract. Either party can terminate it with a few days' notice.
Okay. I guess, does the agreement prevent what Bradford has done with the low-pressure sewage, which is to accept payment from Concord Township for engineering design work, and then they turn around and outsource to Environmental One to do the actual design work? And as far as I can tell, Environmental One is being paid by no one other than Bradford, allowing them to be the sole supplier of the low-pressure pumps that require residents to purchase from Environmental One, and only Environmental One, at double or triple the market price of what similar or better pumps sell for on the open market. Or is that something we're going to allow to continue?
I don't follow any of that reasoning.
Well, can I just answer the question first? No, to answer your question, the HRC service agreement doesn't speak to any of those issues.
Okay. what's the status on Concord Road North? I know that's several months late. Is part of that because of the conflict with the Station Road sewer line? Is there a resolution to that?
I'd have to check with the sewer authority engineer, and he will have to let us know, and we can respond to that in kind.
I had asked a few months ago about the Station Road where I think we spent.
We have
100
not come to a decision on that service area. No, we have not resolved that yet.
How do we get there?
We'll be working on it soon.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we will move right along in the agenda. Under business items, we have the consent agenda. There are various items on here. The first is we would be approving the council public meeting minutes of January 2nd, 2023. We will be making the following appointments to the UCC Board of Appeals: Jerry DiGiacomo for a term to expire 1/1/25, and he would be replacing Ray Sharp, who passed away last year. The Zoning Hearing Board reappointing Libby Salvucci to a term that will expire on 2/6/29. Dana, we have some bills to pay this month.
Sure. The total expenditures is $1,20,854.76, and that consists of January payroll, which is $244,312.24. Current bills is $511,157.91, and our sewer bills is $285,384.61.
Okay, Mr. Gillespie, we have some certificates of payments. Or what?
Yes, certificate number 8 to McKinney for Concord Road North in the amount of $85,183.20, which is made up of sewer, township water, and sewer plant water. The sewer portion is $20,900.52. The township water portion is $60,562.28, and the sewer plant water would be $3,722.40.
Okay, we also are going to authorize the following bids. Hard to believe, lawn maintenance. I guess we'll be cutting grass before we know it. And also for the fire suppression system for the community center building, now that we have the public water availability. John, we also have some financial releases.
Yes, certificate number 1, which is a final payment to CarSense/Penske for $1,619,449.70. Certificate number 1 is a final for Wawa for $4,000. That's a sewer maintenance bond for the Wawa on Stony Bank and Route 1. And certificate number 1, also a final payment for Chick-fil-A for $222,757.05. And certificate number 2 for Concordville Subaru release of $263,886.75. After that release, there'll be a balance of $40,000. And the final one is number 4, which is a final for Windsor at Glen Mills for $91,957. And this is a Phase 2 escrow, which will be released to the developer because Phase 2 is not being built.
Okay. We have the sewer engineering agreement with HRG Services, and we have no plans to accept this complete for final. Do we have an approval for the consent agenda, a motion for the consent agenda?
I so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
ARPA projects, Amanda, Nate, any updates or questions?
I probably have 2 quick updates, I think. Give me a second here. I have my notes. We do have the pipelining for the Concord Wood site. That's about 6 weeks out based on the material delivery. So that'll be good. We're going to be lining the dilapidated corrugated metal pipe behind the residence on Nicklin Drive. So that's been a resident request for a while, so that'll proceed with that project. And then we have a pre-application call with DEP in 2 weeks to review permitting requirements for the potential Carterway stream restoration project. So we are meeting on a monthly basis with township staff and continuing to advance all projects. My hope is that I will have good news at the March meeting that our PennDOT permit has been issued for Schoolhouse. We have the contractor on standby, ready to roll once the weather breaks.
Okay, I had a question here. It has been awarded, it's been postponed till spring, this is Schoolhouse.
Correct.
And is it ready to go? So You
It's
already answered
everything
that.
but the John Hancock from PennDOT. As soon as I have that, and the weather breaks,
So
we'll go.
if you can read minds, can you give me the spread on the game? Never mind, it's Sunday. Give me a Super Bowl bet. Huh? All right, Octorara Trail, Amanda. Anything to update or anybody got anything to update?
We've had some, thanks to Hugh, we've had some interaction with their attorneys. We're in the process, Hugh's in the process of scheduling a meeting with their legal counsel to sort out some of their concerns. So, again, hopefully in March, we'll have a little bit more clarity and we can get things back on track.
Positive, negative?
I would call it positive.
Good, okay. Last on the agenda is resolution number 12 of 2024, elective 457B plan for employees. Amanda, can you just give us some highlights on this real quick?
Yep, sure. So for those in the private world, it's similar to 401Ks. These are elective moments, meaning that it's voluntary for the employee to participate. So basically what happens is we have a current one now that's with a larger organization that doesn't have a local presence. So we had employees requesting that we consider a plan that they could have more of a local presence. And the company that we're using that is in a ton of municipalities and has a great portfolio is out of media, and it'll just make it a lot easier for employees when they want to talk to someone about their elective choices in their 457 plan for their contributions for their pension.
Okay, so this would be Resolution 12 of 2024. It's a resolution of the Council of Concord, Delaware County, hiring to provide fiduciary advisory services for the investment management of the 457B plan for employees, whereas Concord Township has agreed to hire CBIZ Investment Advisor Services as that investment manager. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please?
I just did, can I have a quick comment on Resolution 12? I just wanted to, just to comment that I did reach out to Township Finance Director just with questions on CBIZ's rates, on if they're limited, variable, or capped at any rate, just for their services. I know that that's not something for tonight, but
Okay.
just, I hadn't heard back, and just something for when final signatures come
I'll
along.
make sure you get all the information, Larry.
No problem.
Okay, thanks, Larry. We have a motion, we have a second? We did. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming out. Do you need anything from us? Anything we can help you with?